Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, who here has bad neighbours? I do. And since this is my YouTube channel and I get to vent about anything I want, and it's kind of my therapy, I'm going to talk about my freaking neighbours. Now, there's two issues, two problem areas. First off, the building I live in was probably one unit that was split into two. And the geniuses basically just put a very thin wooden wall in between the two kitchens. So I can hear everything they do in the kitchen and they can hear everything I do in the kitchen. Now, the guy next door, I think he closes his kitchen door all the time and lives in his other room, so he doesn't, he's only making noise when he's in the kitchen. But I have my door open all the time, so he can probably hear me all the time. And it's kind of weird because I never feel like I'm alone. I always feel like there's someone in my kitchen. But also it's like, well, at least if I like have a heart attack and dying or something, I can probably yell and the neighbour will hear me. But so there's that. But that's not a big problem. But the main problem I have is directly across from me and then down the hall, because next door is that guy, and the one after is a female who is a very she's a butch dyke. I mean, I can't say it any nicer than that. And she's aggressive and she's annoying and she thinks she owns the building, and she lives in the hallway like it's her own living room. So every day I have to hear like their little town meetings where they just meet up and talk, and it's like an echo chamber, and you can just hear everything they do, everything they say, and so everyone in every room, and everyone knows you can't talk or do anything in the halls, otherwise everyone's going to hear it. You have to wait till you get in your room, in your apartment, whatever, and then you can talk or whatever. But if you're in the hall, you just have to be quiet, just go to your door, because you can't just stop and talk to people or have a chat or hang out or whatever. But that's what they do every morning. So every morning I have to hear it. I don't know why, and they do really tacky things, like they leave their washing out in the hall to dry on like the little things. Now you're not supposed to do that, so I have to put up with just having mine hanging in the bathroom and hoping it dries in front of the window. So if I want to dry something in the apartment, because I'm sure as hell not going downstairs in the current climate. Although now we're at 0 for 23 days, I can probably can, but I still don't like running into my neighbours. So I wouldn't use the washing lines outside. So I have to put up with that. And I think that's part of it, because they come out and put their washing out and they stand around and talk about their stuff, and you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to have shoes or washing or plants or whatever outside in the halls for people to trip over or just have to deal with, and it's just unsightly. But they do it because apparently there's exceptions. These two places, these two people, there's a couple and a person, they don't seem to think the rules apply to them, and they think they can do whatever they want. Now, it's gotten to a point now where it's gotten crazy, because the lady, she seems to have the need to burst into song at random points. Like the other day, she was singing Bohemian Rhapsody in the hall. I'm like, no one needs to hear this. No one wants to hear this. And your only choice is to make whatever you're doing loud enough so you can't hear them. But then you're in danger of, because this is what happens, if when they're in the hall, which is not their space, and they hear you making noise in your room, they'll complain about you being noisy. I've had complaints because they could hear me listening to TV in my room while they're in the hall treating it like their living room. It's not their space. They're not entitled to free enjoyment, quiet enjoyment of the hall. It's not their space, but they think they own the building, so that's what they do. So she just randomly breaks into song, and they're just standing in the hall just talking, and it's gotten really bad because someone moved out and they're renovating the apartment, so it's just become, they all hang out and talk to the builders and stuff, and that's just a topic of discussion. So they've been hanging out in the hall a lot the last week or so, and it's been driving me nuts the last couple of weeks. But then this morning, I was up all night working on some stuff, and I went to bed around 6. I woke up around 8 for no reason, went back to bed, and it was sometime after 9, I hear this god-awful screeching rendition of the start of Circle of Life from The Lion King. She saw it somewhere, she heard it somewhere, and she just decided she had to sing it. So I literally, that I'm not going to try and do it. I don't know what it is, but it's like a tribal chant or something. That's what it sounds like. So she's doing that in the middle of the hall at 9 o'clock after 9 in the morning. And I've had 2 hours and then almost 2 hours sleep. So I've been woken up by that when I should have been sleeping for another 2 hours at least, if I was really lucky. I don't often get that many hours. But sometimes if I can get back to sleep after waking up, I can get a few hours. But 2 or 3 hours is usually all I get because I have insomnia. So yeah, and then I'm like awake and I'm like, what the hell? I can almost understand talking to people and being social. I can almost understand talking to people while you're, doing your laundry, which you're not supposed to do in the hall. I can almost understand people who are friends, just talking in between their places instead of going to one place or the other. I can kind of understand that. But singing, there is no reason to sing in the hall unless you just want to, basically bother people and upset people and ruin people's day, and basically show that you are owning this area. Basically, this is like your domain, and being territorial, which is basically what she does. It's just really tedious. And what's even worse, actually, it's funny, someone came out and was like, what are you doing? And she was explaining, I was watching The Lion King, that's the something. And I'm like, really? So now I have to hear her explaining her performance? And then, because we have a stairwell, obviously, and it's just cement's like a big echo chamber with metal rails. And she goes, and she's banging on the rails like the drums. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is when I was trying to go back to sleep. And after about 50 minutes of all this crap, I gave up and wrote an email. But yeah. It just sucks. And the ones she's friends with are the ones who like to just randomly yell out faggot in the hall to me and yell it at my door for no apparent reason, or when I'm leaving the building. So that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I have crappy neighbours and I have to deal with them. But I'm not going anywhere because I've been here for 12 years. I moved here 2008 before I started studying the second time. I moved here because it was cheap enough that I knew I could basically do it without having to work full-time. And I've stayed because it's allowed me to not have to work full-time and do casual. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to outlast them, but it's going to be tedious because the last 2 people who used to harass me years ago, they left. So, I will outlast them, but it's tedious as hell. And I just needed to vent about it. And I've got a YouTube, so why not do a video bitching about it? But I don't bother complaining because I wrote an email to a friend, but I had to tell someone about it. But I don't bother complaining because the property manager is friends with them, and they all get along apparently, and I'm just the faggot disrupting everything. So if I just went away, they'd all be happy apparently. So, but I'm not. So this is what I live with. I honestly don't like leaving my room because I don't know when I'm going to bump into these people and what they're going to do or say. I've had the lesbian banging on my door yelling at me. Just like the other guy who moved out, he used to try and assault me, but I never opened my door. He'd always try and get me to come out, but I never did. So I've had to deal with a lot of crap in this building. And yeah, it's not that bad. Most of the people here are okay. It's just we've had a couple of hoarders who left mess, which was kind of scary to look at. And when the guys are renovating, they were like, I was chatting to them, and they're like, oh, come have a look. And they're like showing me all this horrible stuff. And I'm like, wow, because I have to go in and clean it all out again. And it's the exact same apartment. They got another hoarder who moved in, who stopped paying his rent, stopped defecating in the actual toilet, and they had to go in. It was really disgusting, and I don't know why the same apartment this keeps happening to. The rest of the building's normal people, but this one apartment in the corner, they had an alcoholic, they've had 2 hoarders, and I'm just glad I don't have to deal with them directly. But yeah, this place is kind of a dump and kind of a horror house, but still it's not that bad. It's in a really good location. I'm 5 minutes walk from everything. 5 minutes from the train, 5 minutes from the tram, 5 minutes from the bank, 5 minutes from the shopping centre, 5 minutes from the shops, from the Safeway, from the market, from across from the town hall and the library and the post office, and everything's really close and easy. And there's a bus that goes to. It's just everything is just within 5 minutes walk. But it's small, and I'm surrounded by animals basically. But yeah, so that's my bitch. It wasn't really much of a bitch or a rant because I've been dealing with it so long. It doesn't really upset me anymore. I'm just used to it, and that's the worst part when you get used to dealing with something like this and it just becomes your normal life. But yeah, eventually I'll move. I've been thinking about moving for a while because I would like to live with people, but I had too much stuff, so I had to cull my collection. I actually got rid of half of my stuff, and I could probably, if I really tried, fit into like a room in a share apartment. But I don't know, with COVID I'm certainly not moving until that's all over. But I don't know. I'll move because I want to though, not because of them. But my throat's getting dry. I'm rambling about crap no one cares about. But yep, this is my therapy and I feel better. So thank you for participating. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, pity me, whatever. Hopefully I won't wake up tomorrow to a rendition of some other musical. Bye.